that knockout stage. Ascension on the blue once again for the second time the tournament. Rainbow7 on the red. Gangplank ban immediately from Ascension. They respect Jural in that top lane.
Of course, he played Gangplank just before in their last game against Chaos Latin Gamers. Had an outstanding performance. Camilla's another champion that they do have to bring about as well. GPL, they're on the blue side. It's the second game in a row that they will be on the blue side today. And their first pick priority is something that we're going to have to continue to explore, because there is a chance that the Sejuani actually goes up higher priority in this draft, as both teams have now played it.
Last time they went for the Camille first for Rocket, had a big influence in their game as well. Swain, Azir removed by both these teams. There's the Vladimir against G4 as well, one of the key components of that Ascension composition in game one.
I mean, I see this, and it's about pushing G4 to his limits now with his champion pool. Azir gone, Vladimir gone, Swain gone. He has an abundance of champions that he can play. He's been around the block historically for years. You know that he's going to have a champion there, but what is it going to be is the question.
And during the regular season, he had 10 different champions played over 14 different games. I don't think you're going to get him rid of all of his champion pool, but you can definitely stymie it a little bit, get rid of some of the comfort champions.
Exactly. What I mean by this for G4 is his Vladimir was better than his Swain. The Vladimir scaled into team fighting, scaled in a late game, and G4 hard carried that team once they got there.
So we're now at a point with Caitlyn removed, Rakan and Kai'Sa still available, and Camille is the ban. Do Ascension just insta-lock Kai'Sa here?
You kind of have to. You know, the Rakan is a very big pick. Rich is very good on it, but how do you not lock in Kai'Sa is beyond me. So no surprises, of course. You will see that one going across, but it's not just the Rakan that you give over now. It is the active duo of them.
Rakan, much higher win rate out of the two of the birds in the bottom lane, but combined, they can work out very well. We've started to see White Lotus really step up to the plate today, perform like we expect him to. And if they can get a heavy push bot lane against Kai'Sa, who is not the strongest laner, maybe Rainbow7 can play around that bot side of the map.
And I really feel like that should have been perhaps a Karma instead of the Morgana. You can go for both. You can make a team composition around your AD carry, sure, but the Karma being stronger in laning phase perhaps could be an option. But Morgana is always going to be good into the Rakan engage. The fact that you can lock him down with the bindings, he can't always jump forwards. It's still a good pick. Just a personal preference there with the Karma.
There's the Morgana and the Rise locked in for Ascension. G4 is going to sit on that mid lane mage. Rainbow7 need a way to answer. Maybe look towards mid, maybe even go for a jungler here, because they can pinch the pool in that second rotation. The Sejuani is up.
Yeah, definitely could, of course. With no team having a jungler available, red side does get that major advantage. And it's in the Sejuani. Well, we've actually gone towards the Anivia for Rainbow7. Seiya going to be picking that one up. Plugo was the other god that we saw of Anivia recently in this tournament. Kira also an Anivia main. There are a bunch of bird players, and that's currently 3 birds in a composition, and I can't think of birds for the rest of the game, though. There's no other birds, is there?
Grab Azir.
He's banned.
Oh, that's true. You can't play Azir then. I'm sure there are more birds that we're just not thinking of at the moment. Maybe Rainbow7 will go for a quad or a pentabird composition. I doubt it. Not going to start to see those junglers removed, though. Olaf and Skarner. Like to see a Trundle does work actually really well with the Anivia as well, so wouldn't be surprised if Rainbow7 prioritize that.
I do think the priority is with Ascension to ban away the Trundle, and it's going to be jungle bans between the both of them, so depends where your focus lies now. If you're Rainbow7 and you ban a jungler, you know that Ascension will as well. How many are left is always the game that you're going to be playing, and Sejuani is the expected ban. Trundle's the expected response. But then what are you going to go for?
Aggressive junglers is what you go for. Kha'Zix, Graves, these junglers that can really get up in your face and do a lot of damage. That's what I'd like to see. I mean, Zack's still there as well if you want to go towards something more tanky.
And even then, you could leave Trundle up, hope that they pick it and go for something like the Graves into it. And right now, they actually choose to do something very similar to that.
Let's see what Rainbow7 decide to do here. They have that top lane counter pick that they can keep in their back pocket for Jural. Haven't really seen any top lanes banned apart from the Camille and the Gangplank. Rainbow7, you have to expect they'd go towards their jungler here. That Trundle is the pick. Good prediction there, Rusty.
If I was the side of Ascension, not knowing what my top laner is going to be yet, I'd personally be looking towards something like the Ornn, some extra ranged engage. Be very redeeming for their composition. They've got a lot of pick right now. They don't have that extra feature that gets them into the 5v5s, the raw team fighting. No Sejuani available, so they need some kind of ranged engage, you would have to imagine, or just follow-up damage.
So Jax could go into the jungle here. We talked about the Graves being aggressive into the Trundle. Jax can, tank shred as well as the game progresses. Doesn't really give you that pure tank for the subjugate either from Ori. Ascension have their final pick. That Ornn looks like it could be the lock as well.
The Jax really is the curious one here, of course. Possible to flex, not going to. Ornn does go towards the top lane. Jax into the Trundle. The Counter-Strike does wonders against a press the attack user as well. Timing on that very obvious. There's no outright counterplay there for Oddie, but still a strong jungler in his own right. A bit more utility with the Anivia. Lots of zone control with that composition, and they've already got lots of damage. I'd personally just pick another tank into it.
Sion is the other tank that's available, and that's exactly what Rainbow7 will do. Two compositions with strong power picks that we have seen banned out. Gonna butt heads here. The loser is out of contention for knockouts. Basically out of MSI. They'll still have one game to play, but more for pride than anything else. The question is, what's stronger? Is the Rakan and the Anivia stronger, or is it the Kai'Sa pick that we see from Ascension Gaming that will really sway the tides of this battle?
I mean, there is a couple of really risky things to be up against here if you are the Kai'Sa. The Anivia that just wants to wall off the rest of the team. The Trundle that wants to wall off the rest of the team as well. You could find yourself in the backline alone, but they have got a sick combo, the Ornn, the Kai'Sa. That is your standard duo that you see. Top laner that goes with the AD carry. That was the LPL standard that we watched all through playoffs, and there is just an abundance of backline access.
Have to remember, if the Ornn hits that ultimate, Kai'Sa can jump in with the killer instinct. It gives you those plasma marks because you immobilize the enemy. And that's exactly what you're talking about the backline threat there, Rusty. This game, basically do or die for both these teams. Ascension in the GPL, the first time they have come to an international tournament. Rainbow7 have been here many times before as Lion Gaming, but have never made it past play-ins. This is their shot, this is their moment. They best not miss it.
Of course, the Thai region has been there before with Bangkok Titans in 2015. 3 of the 5 members still here today, but Ascension has never made it themselves. They've never been able to get there. They've got a lot to prove. They want to play against the Vietnamese region to qualify to MSI, prove they are still the best of Southeast Asia.
What a story that would be for them. We're going to get onto the Summoner's Rift. Third game of the day, Ascension Gaming and Rainbow7 fighting for their tournament lives here at MSI 2018. I want to look forward towards this jungle matchup specifically. We thought maybe the carries would be in the top lane, but here we have a carry sitting on Intresso in the jungle, the Jax. Something that we've seen occasionally throughout the split. How is it actually going to be able to work for this Ascension lineup?
Yeah, what's super curious is we'll have to watch where he actually paths as a jungler right now. Jack's very capable of doing the Raptor camps, yeah, very capable of doing any single camp on Summoner's Rift, but he's also very good at dueling the Trundle. So we mentioned the interaction with Press the Attack, which is your standard keystone of a Trundle, against the Counter-Strike of a Jax. It means that you will be able to out-trade him early and be quite successful in doing so. But it's more about where they want to be on the Rift and why they would get those gank covers early. Pressure.
Goes in first round to Rich. The Ignite comes down as well. So a lot of damage onto Rich. He has to flash away. The flash from Lotus! Rainbow7 coming out swinging.
Such a Xayah Rakan. Doran's shield doesn't even matter for White Lotus. They've just got too much damage between the two of them. The early exhaust doesn't defuse it. There's now mid lane. It's just everyone's turn to find each other and have a couple of whacks.
It's the fastest first blood we've had this MSI, and Rainbow7, a statement of intent for the game as well.
And this is blind. They have to assume that he's there. They almost get both of them. Nowhere to go for Rich besides running away. The exhaust was early, so diffused as much damage as he possibly could. That Ignite was even just going to run out, so he had to flash that wall, secure the kill. Well done from Rainbow7, just knowing where Ascension would be.
And it makes them so much stronger in the lane, knowing that Rich now has no summoners to deal with them. You know, Genthix still has flash, Lotus still has heal. In a lane that we thought they'd be able to push in anyway, Lotus and Genthix now have the upper hand.
The one summoner spell that does matter the most is that heal is still available for one. So when you've got the Morgana Binding connecting, the potential for damage there, there's no actual kill threat as much. You don't have an Ignite to diffuse the heal. So you've still got full utility there for surviving, but not having many of those summoner spells, getting pushed in, still wanting to recall is something that Rainbow7 are going to have to play around.
And it just opens up so much opportunity on the map as well, because Oddie knows that that bot lane, assuming they get their first back off, you know, by the time they have BF Sword, they should be well in advance in that lane. They should be able to harass down Lloyd and Rich. Maybe Intresso will spend some more time down towards this bottom side as well, because he knows his bot lane is behind. Both the junglers down here.
And you have a feeling that Intresso's got a whiff of where Oddie is. You can see the Scuttle Crab was being done. He was looking to perhaps counter gank, but now the opportunity presents itself. Not just a counter, but he has information that Trundle's not here. But what he doesn't know is that Trundle has just gone Tom Cruising behind him.
Gonna meet in the Tribush. Intresso against Oddie. Oddie immediately tries to run away. There's the press the attack into Counter-Strike. The knock up, the flash from Oddie doesn't land the stun. And Oddie will be able to get the Scuttle Crab to jump away, but Intresso's continuing on the chase here. The rest of the team are on their way as well. There's the jump in with the Leap Strike. Oddie will just get forced out of his own jungle.
Once you commit to the flash, it's not just about dealing damage, it's about pushing him out of that jungle, controlling the camps, and now Rainbow7, look at Genthix. He has to come over and help, or just loses camps.
The problem for Intresso is his bot lane cannot react to this. The Counter-Strike comes out, Intresso secures it, but White Lotus is just around the corner. He's going to get a double buff now. 2 kills and a double by 4 minutes is incredible for Rainbow7.
That's a big overreach. You're right, you get the first trade, you flash forwards, you get Oddie out of the jungle, but look at where your bottom lane is currently sitting. Look at where the wave currently stands. There is no way that Rich gets there. There is no way that Lloyd is able to come and assist. And after such a good start from Intresso, pushing forwards, everyone ready to rotate, he needs to know when it's too far, when he's been there for far too long. Even a possibility here to perhaps jump towards the Scrying Orb. I believe that you can do that as the Jax. I can't confirm that, but just goes down regardless, out of position. And White Lotus gets a second.
And double buffs in the lane as well, so any damage he does was just going to stick on towards Lloyd and Rich, who are going to struggle in that lane now. White Lotus has backed BF Sword 4.5 minutes in. That's devastating if you're an Ascension fan. 1,000 gold behind, and you've got the carry. White Lotus, the guy who consistently steps up for this team at international events, who today is performing so well. You've got him ahead in the early game.
And it's even just, like the analyst desk before mentioned, the team plays around him more now. It's not that he was strictly underperforming, it's that they've acknowledged that he is now good enough to carry one more time. And putting him on the pedestal, giving him a silver platter of kills, just 2-0 at 4 minutes. You mentioned the BF Sword. That feels so bad as a Kaiser. You need item spikes as Kaiser desperately. And now you just don't even get an opportunity to farm in lane. You're completely pushed out. It gets worse at level 6. And even past that point, transcending that, you get out of laning phase, there's just no pretty place. There's no happy space for you if you're Lloyd.
Have to give credit as well to Rainbow7 for their ability to change the carry in each game as well. On day one, it was very much just Saya consistently stepping up, consistently carrying. Now we're seeing a lot more out of White Lotus because of the priority they're giving to them, as you say. Even between games as well, the gangplank from Jarol is now the Scion. They recognize the composition is the most important thing. They take the tank top lane battle. Well, it's not going to do a lot against each other, but it contributes to the team fighting. The teleports is the place to look towards. So good awareness again, good drafting. If you're Ascension, on the other hand, you have to be wondering how you get back from this hole. You've got a Ryze in the mid lane who's already got his tier, so he is going to start stacking up. You don't have priority to go for the Mountain Drake, which is what Rainbow7 will be doing now. Your jungle is behind and doesn't have a flash either. We said this last time as well, though. Ascension didn't really start the game off all too well. They were behind in gold. They definitely do not have the strongest early games of this tournament. But they somehow find themselves in positions to get picks. They get control slowly. They had decent vision as well in the first game of the day. And they're able to just get themselves back into the game through individual plays. G4 was the member that you had to look towards to be super clutch. And now he's in the mid lane. He's got the Ryze. They're both just scaling mid laners. But he has got the teleport and the mobility to get around the rift. Have a really big impact. The question is whether he's able to deal with Saya just pushing him in the mid lane as well. We need to see Ascension at some point start to make those proactive plays, because at the moment, Intresso's being spotted out. He's the one that's being caught, and Oddie just knows exactly where this jungler is all the time. Yeah, they saw him at Krogs. Now they get to see him at blue buff. Everywhere that Intresso goes has been completely mapped out by Rainbow7's vision control in the early game. They've got such good control in the bottom side river as well to control what's their 3 regular wards. They are set on that side of the map, so their bottom lane, which is 2-0, which is snowballing, against the Ninja Tabi's opponent who just knows it's over. Yeah, Lloyd's just like, this lane's done. I'm just going to get the farm I can. He's farming well. Got to give him credit there. It's staying even with White Lotus, but when you get Ninja Tabi's first on a Kaiser, you know that lane is not going to go too well for you. You can see White Lotus and Genthix just willing to step forward whenever they get the opportunity. Lloyd has to just play incredibly passive. Already highlighted this, but it gets so much worse at 6, and you can see the experience bars halfway there. The big wave's starting to stack up for themselves. So as this crashes in, maybe one more wave, they'll get to the level 6 point. They'll be good to go. But when we relate this to the vision control that was there from Rainbow7, what is Intresso to do? You know, what is he actually able to provide for them to assist them whatsoever? It's all defensive vision from him. The Tribush is the only access that he has, the only port of entry. But once this is pushed, they'll go ward it, and then it's safe. And alongside that, I actually feel that Ascension have made a mistake in the bottom lane in the fact that Rich has actually put 3 points into his Q and is not putting a lot of points into his Black Shield early on. The risk with that is if you get hit by a single Q from the Rakan, it burns through the Black Shield. So he doesn't even have to engage on you to get that Black Shield out, and then he can full engage and just get the charm off as well. So would have liked to see more points in the E from Rich rather than in that Q, just to keep them a little bit safer in the lane.
Yeah, it's a minimum of 3 points now as the Morgana to put it into it, to make sure that it's not every combo, like one of the forms of crowd control will still connect. The Q provides damage, but that's going to be about it. And they're in a position where they are losing in the bush.
There's the engage, and there's the dead Morgana. Back to the grave with her. Good kill again from Rainbow7.
I will say no Black Shield's going to save that one. You just mega dead regardless. You're caught out of position trying to step up. They knew you were, you knew they were there. There's not really something that you're going to do, but someone had to step up. Eventually, you have to make a bad decision. Rainbow7 force it.
And Odi was waiting in the wings as well.
That's not the way you want.
G4. Maybe just threatening Saya, saying, oh, I can go aggressive. Interessa was coming in from the top side as well, so maybe there's a possibility of a Rune Prison into an engage from Interessa, but he's now on a ward.
They want the 2v2. Odi's trying to chomp him over the Lloyd.
The dive in the bottom lane as well here from Rainbow7.
The turret's actually about to die.
Yeah, White Lotus just needs a couple more auto attacks. Might decide to keep it up for a little bit longer, just to try and kill some of those minions, but first tower, 9 minutes in, Rainbow7 a 2,500 gold lead. They have definitely come out with the intention of snowballing this game away from Ascension.
Solo gold even given over to White Lotus for that kills, and you can see it in the itemization choices of Rainbow7. It's actually Boots of Lucidity rushed by Genthic, so he knows full well that he's going to be leaving lane now. They're going to engage all the time, and they're going to try and track you down and just kill you.
It's disgusting. There's a 2,000 gold differential between the AD carries. There is a completed Essence Reaver on White Lotus. There's Ninja Tubby on Lloyd. If you're playing this bot lane, you are just absolutely devastated as an Ascension player to be in this situation. Rainbow7 now rotate. They say we can get another tower because you just can't match us at this point.
It's actually pretty saddening to watch. As an AD carry player, you know full well you're waiting for 3 items, but by then maybe they have 6 items. That's just absolutely desperate. You're looking at the rest of your team, help him in any way you can, but it's at that point where you don't help your AD carry. You just try and shut theirs down and just hope that yours continues to scale and have utility. But that's a Kaiser. That's not a utility-based champion.
And it's such a change for Rainbow7 as well. Last game was slow, was methodical. They were waiting, they were kiting. Here, all-out aggression from minute 1, basically. It was 1.5 minutes in when they got the first blood. Now, they continue to aggress forward, and they continue to put Ascension, who are usually the team on the front foot, onto that back foot.
And a team that wants to, get ahead early. They do know what it means to lose and come back into games, even though they want to be ahead early, but there's a limit to everything. And I think we're well past that threshold on coming back into a game through the 2v2 specifically. We mentioned this before, but G4's role now becomes even more important. A 9-minute first turret blood is, you've made a mistake for that to happen at all. And so they've been able to secure that one. They switched to top lane. Ryze needs to be unlocked. Jax needs to be unlocked. They need to find a way in, an entry point. But look at Odi. Just helicopter parent.
Always waiting in the wings in case his birds of prey need some help. But at the moment, those birds are flying pretty high in the top lane. Other lanes, not too much has happened. Kind of farming everywhere else. Look at this. Rocky v Dural.
The most exciting lane in League of Legends right now. Both will have a team fight impact, that's for certain.
That's true.
But would you like to be an Abyssal Mask on?
Here's the roam, though. This is what G4, this is what you wanted to do. He's coming up in with the Ghost. Rune Prison into binding, doesn't connect because Genthix was on the trigger quickly with that battle dance.
The idea was there. The execution unfortunately misses. Very well done from Rainbow7 to disengage. So Odi's now here to prevent anything further. In fact, he's going to have a look forwards here. The pillar can be on.
Yeah, Rich doesn't have flash. There's the engage. Look at the damage that comes out on towards Rich. He's dead. Teleport's used as well. Going to join the fight. Rocky here, first onto the Forge God, but Dural joins in as well. This is the team fight presence we want. Well, what comes out from Ascension? They just want to try and defend this tower if they can.
There's too many numbers now here for Rainbow7. They don't have the support in Rich anymore. Not enough points in the Black Shield to keep himself through all of the crowd control. Ultimately does go down to the Rakan's engage, even with the awareness to throw it on himself this time around. G4 was the correct move, but the response is there and it's better from Rainbow7 just because of how far ahead they are and the lane that the pressure was revolving around.
And you can see how much this pressure has put Lloyd behind as well. He's about 20, 22, 23 farm behind. Gerald's actually going to engage on G4 in the mid lane. The flash comes out from G4. keeps himself safe for the moment, but he is just monumentally disadvantaged in that lane now as well. We've got a banner from Gerald for extra side lane push as well. And Rocky, one of those tanks that can't really deal with banners too well. He's just going to hit it with his hammer quite a few times.
Yeah, doesn't have a banner of himself either. He's actually gone towards the Abyssal Mask, and the big concern for this is, oh god, we get to zoom in and watch this epic battle.
Here we go.
The turret's the real MVP.
Look at those auto attacks.
I'd love to know the actual amount of damage that auto attack from Ryze does.
I like the way he uses the Q anyway, because I might as well stack my tier while I'm here. It's free tier stacks. As a Cassiopeia, you can actually heal off it a bunch, because you're not doing any damage. So.
But he didn't get the gold, so I'd imagine he's just a little bit tilted. Turret's also going to start falling down this top lane. There's no counterplay there for the side of Ascension. And back to the... I need to get this point out. It keeps getting cut off by things happening. Abyssal Mask against a fed Xayah. That's not ideal.
No, it's not.
That's not exactly the tank item that you want for yourself. That's an item that helps you against Gerald. So no one's going to be there to help Lloyd. That's the TLDR. You are by yourself.
Yeah, it's not the best for Ascension, but great play, of course, from Rainbow7. They've slowly, after an explosive start, slowly just whittled away at that tower in the top lane. Now have it. We're only 15 minutes in. They've already got 2 towers and a 4,000 gold lead. They're looking for the Rift Herald to help them push in mid. They have the engage potential from the Rakan. They've got the Anivia in case they ever need to wave play. They're just in a perfect spot to close out this game. And we're only 15 minutes in.
In trouble here.
No
next to
flash
the
on
wall.
him. There's the charm. There's the knockup. There is the dead Ryze. White Lotus is actually taking up this tower. Will use the Featherstorm to get away because Intresso flashed forward. Void Seeker's not going to hit from the side either. Here comes the call of the Forge God. White Lotus has his flash and will get away. The Crystallize onto Intresso means he has to leap strike. And Rainbow7 able to get away safely once again.
Everything will just fizzle out in the end, but Rainbow7 still being alive means that they have control of the map. The mid lane turret is going to drop down here once again. Just have to disengage, walk away, and try and consolidate your losses. Make the best of a bad situation. There's a Herald on Oni as well, and they didn't actually need to utilize that to get the mid lane outer turret. That could be placed anywhere that they want right now. Inners, free further gold advantages. I feel like this could be a faster game than even Supermassive did yesterday if they accelerate this into items and start taking the fights.
And a faster game than the last time they played against each other as well. It was a much closer affair. You can see Rainbow7 were actually behind at that 15-minute mark. Here they are monumentally ahead. Did have good objective control as well, which they are proving once again. Need to see them continue to snowball this away, because if they do give Lloyd a chance to get back into the game, if they give Intresso a chance, if they give G4 a chance, Ascension still have ways of winning this game that relies very much on Rainbow7 making mistakes.
Yeah, they're a pick-style composition with the Morgana, with the Ryze, but ultimately it has to be a big mistake now that gets you caught out of position. We saw an attempt on the top side of the map with Genthix when they sprinted up towards him. G4 was the person being proactive, and that could have actually halted a lot of the momentum the Rainbow7 had for themselves, but the binding was missed. The target selection was not there. In the end, the gold just continued to accelerate in very Rainbow7-esque fashion. As of today, they have slowed the pace of the game down. They're placing more focus and control around their vision, around their warding. And they kind of want teams to come to them now instead.
But once again, not really moving that vision line up further into the enemy jungle, which is what I'd like to see them do next. Get some deep wards, clear out these wards like Genthix is doing. Just get a little bit more control around the map, because you've still got 3 minutes until Baron spawns. You can move those wards up. If you need to refresh them, you can always go back and set them up once again. Nice to see control wards in the inventory of 3 of their players, though, so they can rejuvenate those wards if they do get taken out. They get a Cloud. Yeah, they're 6,000 gold ahead, and probably just waiting for that Rift Herald into Baron combination that we talked about.
If this isn't desperate, I don't know what is. I have a feeling it's not going to work.
Finding straight onto Lotus, though. Intresso there. Look at the damage coming out from the Featherstorm, and just the immediate engage. Rich able to flash across the wall. Gonna eat a Flash Frost to the face, though. Rich is down. Rainbow7 still on their way to a perfect game. I've said it now. I probably cursed them, but could be the first perfect game of MSI 2018.
Yeah, I saw it a minute ago. I was like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to say it out loud.
17 and a half minutes in, you can say it. I think at that point, you can say it.
You know, it happened last time. The last time we said it's going to be a perfect game, someone died in a couple of minutes from that. We'll get to watch what happens here again. There's just not enough damage between a Jax and a Morgana support to take down White Lotus. And because you can use the ultimate on the spot to dodge damage, Intresso just decides that he's getting out of there. Rich uses the spell shield on him, like, go, kill the Xayah. Where are you running? And then he's left by himself to die to a nice little flash frost there.
One of those top 10 anime betrayals. It's just like, I gave my life to save you. I guess he did survive in the end, so part of it was worth.
Such is the life of a support.
We do see the banner coming out on Rocky now as well, so he's going to try and answer buffed minion for buff minion. Rift Herald used in the top lane as well. May have just been timing out, was taken very early into the game, of course, by Rainbow7, because they had that early rotation as well.
Very loud steps.
It's a big creature.
Yeah, it is. Also just used because the timer was going to run out, so naturally just had to summon that one. Top lane is a place that they should just group up as 5 now for. Why not? When you've got the Herald there, when you are this far ahead, use it, get a free turret.
And Gerald can always teleport into the fight as well, so he can split, and then, as you say, join up, have that 5-man group. You've got mid lane priority from Seiya.
He needs to recall for some mana, I think.
He's running a little bit dry.
May not want to teleport in with the lack of mana that he has available. I guess he can just stand in front and soak.
So this is an interesting decision, not to continue the push in. I guess you know that Rocky's not in the bottom lane, so you want to play a little bit safer. You're trying to get a bit more deep vision in as well, but look at that caster minion go. Caster minion is basically cosplaying the Jhin from the last game. Zoom, 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 pew, pew, pew.
Is that the sound effects, though, that a caster minion would...
I don't know what sound effect magic makes. Whatever sound effects in your imagination, Lester.
Fair enough. I just like their imaginations now out loud.
It's kind of all I do in my job. So. But good stuff here from Rainbow7 as they continue to close out this game. Baron up in 30 seconds as well. They have moved that vision line a lot deeper here as well, Rusty. That's exactly what we wanted to see.
Which is good that they've actually done that, right? And they do get the turret from it in the end. The Herald sets it up. They do knock it down. But they also slowed the pace of the game down once again, just that little bit further. And it's not that they're unconfident. They've definitely got a lot of confidence to be seen as that they're choosing to be slow.
I mean, I'd be confident when my AD carry has almost twice as much gold as the enemy AD carry. Like, that is an incredible lead, an incredible advantage for White Lotus. Sitting at 2 items now as well. You have to think if a fight erupts at all, R7 would have to make a slew of major mistakes to lose.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the way that it's being played as well, it doesn't look like Rainbow7 are going to make a mistake in the first place. They want Ascension to come towards them. So every single time Vision has to get placed. And with Baron being available, that is the final nail in the coffin. So you have to go forwards now. You have to actually try and get Vision. And in advance, the wards were placed in the blue side jungle of Ascension by Rainbow7. So they're very prepared for what is next, the next step being the Baron. They just need to control the wards around that area. And they haven't really placed any.
No. Well, they kind of got taken out, and now they need to just get a bunch more in. They've got the double sweeper, so they can clear out a bunch of wards around that area if they come out. So you can see it's really White Lotus who has been putting the team on his back this game, but the team has facilitated him by making a nice little backpack, making a nice little carry-all.
Genthix is doubling the damage of everyone else as well.
That's true. That's why Airy Rakan is OP. Why people need to play him mid.
We might be getting one soon if
it's true.
GBM continues to win with Supermassive. He promised he would.
He did. He promised he would play AP Rakan if they'd already solidified their spot in the knockouts. River control is much more in favor of Ascension here. No real wards, as you say, from Rainbow7.
Yeah, but that's it's in their inventory. They're just choosing not to place the wards in the first place, which is a very unusual decision, let's say. They've acknowledged, I suppose, that Ascension are just going to walk in as a 5-man unit. They want them to back away, and then they step up to place the wards. They make sure that all 4 members are here, so that they are strong enough to win a team fight. Ascension tries to get some cheeky picks off, and the way that they've been playing the past couple of minutes, I mean, that's the only option that they've got, is try and stand in a bush, where there is a control ward in that bush, ideally, and just hit a binding.
However, they are starting to scale up a little bit as well. Ascension, you know, you've got 2 items on G4, fully stacked rod, Seraph's complete as well. Lloyd has the Ginsu's Rage Blade, so if he can get to that 6-stack mark, if he can get towards that later portion of a team fight, Lloyd can put out a lot of damage. You've almost got a Trinity Force built up on Intresso as well, sitting on the Phage and the Sheen. There are opportunities for Ascension. Not great ones, but they do exist.
If ever there was a time in a game where you were this far down in gold to take the fight, it is when you hit the item spikes. That is absolutely correct, but I just wonder, so firstly, why even go Trinity Force when you were this far behind? Not that it's going to do a whole lot for you. You could build a little bit tankier, perhaps stand in front of your team that wants to do as much as they can, last for as long as possible.
Here it does tons of damage though, so maybe that is the reason. If you can catch someone out, if you're going for that pick comp, having the extra damage.
Well, Baron actually has been started this time. They're sick of waiting around on Vision.
Genthix is trying to block it off here, but G4 has a lot of damage. There's the quickness coming out. Baron down to about 3,000, and Rainbow7 should be able to sneak this one away, and Tressor's not even on the right side of the map. Rainbow7 get the Baron, an 8,000 gold lead 23 minutes in. They are looking very, very strong here. They need to win this game to stay alive in the tournament, remember. Still have Gambit Gaming yet to face, the undefeated team from day one, who have now lost to Ascension. And you have to think if Rainbow7 beat Ascension here, they'll be feeling very confident going into Gambit.
They've got momentum, absolutely. So if they start this one off, they get that victory, and it's win and you're in situation here, even for Ascension, losing you're out. That's why everything started to slow down so much today, for certain. From this point with the Baron buff, we mentioned it'd be the final nail in the coffin. We mentioned that a couple of minutes ago at that as well. So far ahead they have been for a significant amount of time. Now we're actually getting big items out from Rainbow7 as well, not just the Baron.
Yeah, starting to move towards those 3-4 item builds. You've got White Lotus sitting on an extra BF sword. Zeke's, actually double Zeke's from Rainbow7, which is not always optimal. Looking for a second banner or maybe a locket on Oldie as well. Interested to see where that second Zeke's is going. Could go on Saya, but it's all auto attack based, so.
Yeah, I don't think it matters all that much. It's just an incredibly optimal item to build as a Trundle in the jungle in the first place. You're always going to build it. And Rakan is just way too good at using it with Xayah as a duo. So I think at the end of the day, you group them up onto whoever you can. Genthix should always have it on White Lotus. Oddie should always have it on Saya.
That's where they sit at the moment. So Banner has been pushed in by Rocky in the mid lane, but Minion Dematerializer will swipe that one away. Yet to really see any sort of split push or 1-3-1 coming out from Rainbow7. Instead, they want to group and catch out G4 in the top lane.
Oh, he's well caught here.
He is well caught, as you say, but can Realm Warp away. Maybe snuck his way to safety here. Saya doesn't check the right bush, and a great escape from G4, keeps himself alive and delays the Baron still.
He was like halfway to the bush and chose not to go there in the first place. I guess they just conceded that the Ryze had done his disappearing act.
Snuck his way
And
away.
he was out alive. Definitely wasn't. No matter. It's just going to be a Ryze ultimate use and a disengage on the top side. You're still looking towards their first proactive move here. They've got the Baron, but the duration of this Baron has just been completely for naught.
Yep, it's down to a minute left, and we talked a few times about Ascension being able to have a slow start and come out in the late game. Well, this is a very slow start, but they still have the opportunity to come back into this game.
I mean, it requires something very special still from them. It requires it from them right now where they start to lose inhibitors and the game just ends like that. It's an Anivia Trundle composition as well, so ultimately it's very hard to get in on them, and it's very hard to get out when you're in and you've made the mistake. And from this kind of deficit, that's one of the toughest things for them to do right now.
We see now that split push that we talked about. 40 seconds left on the Baron. Minions pushing in that top wave. It's Cannon Wave as well. Inhibitor tower down to half already. There's the wall to block him off. Interesto has to jump away. Full of the Forge God locks up 3. Rocky looking for a bit of engage. Gets the Feathers Fly out of White Lotus. Oddie on that front line trying to chase onto G4. Rocky jumping away. The charm used as well. Rainbow7 already get one. White Lotus on a rampage. Another great crystallize. Rocky not in the best of shapes, nor is G4 though. Genthix jumps in once again. Interesto trying to get the stun off, but he can't get too much damage. Lloyd manages to pick up Genthix, but already 2 members of Ascension have fallen. Interesto getting chased away as well. Has to flash in the end. And Rainbow7 have finally broken open the base of Ascension.
They were looking for the third. They were trying to get Interesto down with it. Just the inhibitor is what's going to be there after those 2 kills. Well done from Rainbow7 to finally utilize their composition to the fullest, particularly the Anivia walls from Saya. Able to lock people down, force summoner spells, and it's all just about the follow-up after those points. Trundle separates G4. Tresor then gets caught and has to dash away. And this is potentially a good engage from the side of Ascension with Rocky's Horn, but there's no actual follow-up in the composition to get past that point. So they just sprint forwards and they go in. The only real tragedy here is that Genthix goes down afterwards, just overreaching and trying to go a little bit too far to complement Jirel flashing forwards. They just have enough damage.
It is a tragedy that he loses the perfect game because he dies right at the end as well. Rainbow7 not going to get that accolade for themselves, but I don't think they'll really care too much about it. More interested in taking the wins. You can see White Lotus is in such a good spot just to rain down the damage in these fights. Now they can move into the side lanes. They've got supers pushing in the top. They've got a cannon minion down towards this bottom lane. No Baron left, but a 10,000 gold lead and 3 items on your AD carry spells success for Rainbow7.
Decent Baron power play from them as well. 3,200 gold. Able to utilize it. Again, took a long time. Actually almost used the Baron buff to the very end of it before they started to make the push. But now that they've got the inhibitor down, they've actually got the kills down, they can set up in the side lane and have minions push for them. Now they can press up. And right now, Intresso is just a top laner, so they're going to try and do it here.
Oddie is the one caught out here. Low can't really join the fight. There's a couple of Forge God as well, but G4 goes down. White Lotus dodges out the Bram, and that is just Rocky falling as well. Rainbow7 collapse in the bottom lane, 11-1. They are looking unstoppable.
Yeah, they're just getting absolutely slapped around by R7 right now. Ascension just left to die, trying their best to defend, but ultimately their best efforts doesn't actually result in a teamfight victory. They're lucky if they get a single kill, and they've had one so far this entire game. Intresso, I don't think he can really achieve anything, but it's that desperation play. He might try and cut them off.
This could just be game. Rainbow7 keeping themselves alive in contention for the knockout. They're on the Nexus towers. Rich up in 4, G4 up in 12 as well, but Intresso can't even get in the midst of this fight. Gentic's off towards the side. Lloyd caught out, but Gerald tanking up the towers as well. White Lotus just wants to focus down the Nexus. He wants that spot in the knockouts, and Rainbow7 take the win over Ascension.
You definitely take those ones if you are Rainbow7. Now 3-2, keeping themselves in the mix. Getting that first place position from Group A, the MSI play-ins. And it was just clean. It was just easy. They had a very strong bottom lane showing. It started at level 1. And the rest of it felt like just a very simple follow-up from that point.
And Rainbow7 keep their fate very much in their own hands here as well. They've got Gambit Gaming up next. If they can take down Gambit, they can basically solidify themselves at least a tiebreaker, depending on how KLG's games go later. Commiserations, of course, to Ascension, who are knocked out by that, but today has been a lot stronger from them in terms of their ability to close out games.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it has been quite good from Rainbow7 in how slow they've played Ascension. Still playing a very similar style. They played up in their first game against Gambit for certain. Very strong stuff from G4, but then we saw through the draft adaptation that Vladimir was banned away. Suddenly there's just not a lot of options left for them, and perhaps they ran out of strategies through mid, slowly lost because of what happened at level 1 in the bottom lane.
That's true. That was just absolutely... It was the foresight to go for it when you had no vision. Yes, you can assume the Morgana's there, but if they have vision on you, you're face-checking straight into a Dark Binding and probably dying yourself. So it was a little bit of a risky play. But to hear more about that win from Rainbow7, let's send it over to the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Medic. We will indeed take another look at that bottom lane early skirmish. But first, I want to take a look at the group and how it stands so far, because unfortunately for Ascension, with this loss, they are now out of contention for the #1 spot. They cannot get there, even if all kinds of crazy things happened. And on the other side, Rainbow7's chances are still very much alive. We're not really getting the update. Oh, there it is. There we go. So as said, Ascension out. Rainbow7 still in chaos. Latin Gamers still in the race. And Gambit still, for now, holding on to that #1
100%.
spot.
So Rainbow7 being 3-2 means that they are already at a point where they can challenge for Gambit. And if Chaos Latin Gaming goes up against Gambit and take the win as well, it looks like a 3-way tie is possible.
It's interesting because Rainbow7 actually wants their LATAM counterparts now to be successful versus Gambit to keep them in the race, because Gambit is still going to have to drop another game.
Yeah, absolutely. They become their biggest fan. They're going to go backstage, share all their strat book, Raz. Everything is now on the table. They got to team up and try and take them down. But this game was just a demonstration of what we thought was going to happen with Rainbow7 at the start of this tournament, and now finally starting to get rolling.
Well, let's take a look at how they did it, specifically at the team composition. Spawn, you said when that Anivia pick came out, fantastic versus that Ryze. What did you think of the comp overall?
Yeah, I actually think that Anivia in this situation just stifles so much of what Ascension was hoping to do. She's such a tempo pick. She really controls the pace at which the game is going to play. She can shut down a lot of aggression. And I thought that this game was won as soon as they didn't lock in Maokai in the top lane. I thought one way they could potentially look to shut down the Anivia was to go Maokai and allow Kai'Sa to get on top of Anivia with Maokai. As soon as Ornn was there, that wasn't going to happen. Ornn was just going to get kited out. He was going to get locked down, and that's what we saw this whole game.
I was wondering if the Sejuani or Gragas was going to come through too, because having a Jax is actually really poor versus the Anivia pick. So it felt like they didn't really have the options or answers into it.
Yeah, because Gragas would have been open, but maybe they weren't comfortable on it, and they went for the Jax, which really didn't do anything for the side of Ascension. And what didn't help was in the bottom lane very early on. 2 kills for Rainbow7. White Lotus saying, bam, bam, thank you, ma'am. I am off to a fantastic start.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, got to eat some humble pie a little bit. I called for the substitution, Raz. In hindsight, maybe a reason my team isn't at MSI at the moment. But right now, yeah, he was just absolutely everywhere at the start of the game. And I think that this was a very aggressive invade after the Counter-Strike missed for some reason. Maybe a bit of a tilt play coming out of Intresso.
Yeah, I think that Gentix, this game, really showcased. A lot of the plays started with his W, Rakan play on point. So both Gentix and the bottom lane, of course, working so well together.
Yeah, we see it there. A huge gold lead for White Lotus very early on. In the beginning of the day, you guys said, well, Rakan's coming out. Now I want to see those answers. I want to see that Morgana. We saw a Morgana, but you guys said, well, if you're going to not skill E, then you're never going to win that versus Rakan.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we saw so many times that Rakan engaged onto a Black Shield target and just with W was able to break the Black Shield, and that means that the charm was going to go out every single time. The reason this counter pick works is because if you put like 2-3 points into that Black Shield, you're able to keep your AD carry safe. They can farm up, especially if it's a short range AD carry like Kai'Sa. And time again, that is not what happened in this game.
Yeah, so it felt like every single time the option was presented, the pick happened. So, I mean, it happened. And what I really loved about this game was the fact that Rainbow7 constantly play towards their bottom lane that had the lead. And if Gentix is going to continuously get that pick, then you play towards him. And on that point, every single time it worked out for them, they played it slow, recognizing that the control wards were a major point of control for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what we talk about good macro play. They realize that the duo lane becomes the play that is available on the map because there's an Anivia who's just shoving and then a Sion who's doing the same but is incredibly tanky. And then Oddie continually just floated his pressure towards that side of the map. Every time he based, he's clearing towards his duo lane. He's keeping them nice and safe. And they use their control wards very sparingly throughout this game, but they always had them in key areas to have very good information.
Well, night and day difference to play overall from Rainbow7. You start touching on Vision, and Raz, you wanted to talk a bit more about Vision specifically around Baron for Rainbow7 and how they utilize it.
Yeah, you see, day one, we didn't get to see it from them. I felt like Rainbow7 were the vision control team the last time we saw them, being able to track the junglers at every time, and they faltered. But today, they really understood how to utilize it. You talked about the fact that they didn't just dump out control wards. So they waited for the adjacent lanes, both mid and top, to push out first. They played it patiently before they can actually get deeper control wards. So they had a longer lasting Baron time. And the one worry that I had was that they would fish for picks way too closely or way too often. They had the Anivia to burn, but no, they just went right for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the one time they went for the pick, it was around the blue buff spawn, which is incredibly smart because you can deny that away from the Rise. It's a lot of his strength through the cooldown reduction. Soon as that pick didn't pay off, as you said, they just baited out with their support player, were able to take down the Baron incredibly quickly because they're using that Anivia ultimate, which just absolutely slices through it. And if the engage does come at that point, there's absolutely no way Ascension wins the team fight. So that's like picture perfect play.
Yes.
Picture perfect play by Rainbow7. So at the beginning of day one, they were huge favorites. They went down a little bit. Now, after what you've seen, are you willing to put your money on Rainbow7? Can they make it as #1 spot? Can they do it?
I think they can. I honestly think that their play's been really good. The odds are against them because now they're relying on KLG, who looked actually a little bit shaky.
Whatever, can they do it?
Yeah.
All right.
I'll say no then, if you want an honest answer. No.
All right. I say...
I always want an honest answer. What is this? Are you lying on my desk?
I would never lie to people.
I'll say that they do have a chance. I'm a flip-flopper. I ain't going to lie about that. Initially, I said that Gambit was going to take it because statistically, it was working quite well for them. The fact that they fell to Ascension is a major blow because now suddenly game 5, having to go up against Rainbow7, it looks incredibly impactful for them. So I think Rainbow7, if they go up against Gambit, they'll be able to take it.
Oh, your flip-flopping could bite you in the butt. I may have tricked you a little bit because you did say that Gambit would make it, but we both voted for KLG, so that still seems to be the more likely scenario, Raz. We'll see. Maybe you're right after all. In any case, coming up next, we have Chaos Latin Gamers versus Gambit Esports. That's going to tell us a lot. And going into today's matches, Tier Wolf plans to get the most out of the underdog mentality.
I think everybody rated us last, and since our region, Latin America South, Latin America North, was once jointed and now separated, even our fans, our pro players, were rooting for Latin America North. So I feel like this is good. I kind of feel here that I'm representing my region and the people who are with us, but I also feel like I'm here to prove something for myself and my team and my teammates. Like, that's it. Like, I just want to do the best I can for me and then the best I can for my team. And whoever, gets on the bandwagon, so to say, welcome, and that's it. We're going to win.